morning, students. You're welcome to GST111 class, Communication in English. Today we are looking at the English sentence and some common errors of English usage. Now, before we begin to look at what a sentence is, there are some structural elements of the English sentence. The structural elements of the English sentence. And these structural elements of the English sentence are referred to as word classes. Word classes. Now, what do I mean by that? Before now, there had been what we used to, or what is often referred to as part of speech. This part of speech is the same thing as saying word classes. And these word classes are made up of 4 distinct divisions. We have the nominal class, we have the verbal group, we have the adjectival class, and we also have the adverbial class. Now we begin with the nominal group. The nominal group consists of the nouns as well as the pronouns. So sure before now you would have known that the noun is the name of the person and all animal, place, or things. That's the elementary definition of the noun. Now, what does that mean? The noun, is made up of, is what name things. The noun name things. That is, it gives names to all things, beginning with people, beginning with places, states, days of the week, months of the year, names of rivers and mountains and all that. So let us begin with the nouns. The noun is the number 1 part of the nominal group. Directly after the noun, we shall look at the pronouns. The pronouns, it takes the place of a noun. The implication is that it replaces, it prevents monotony. It does not allow repetition. Repetition in the sense that when you now say Grace is a woman, and instead of repeating Grace is a woman, Grace is a teacher, you can say Grace is a woman, she is a teacher. The implication of this is that the pronoun she takes the place of the name being repeated, so it avoids monotony. Then after having said that, let us look at the different types of nouns we have in English. We have proper nouns. Proper nouns. Don't forget, I'm still looking at the first class, which is the nominal group. The proper nouns. The proper nouns name people. It gives names of people. And these names of people that are given by the proper noun must often always begin with capital letters. That is, the initial letters of the proper noun, the proper names, names of persons, names of places must be capitalized. What does that mean? That is, you will always learn to write these names with capital letters. Never you ever write the name or write your own name with small letter. For instance, you say Eunice, and then you put down small letter E, or you say Dorcas, you put down small letter D. No, it is not acceptable when you are dealing with noun that has to do with people and noun that has to do with names of persons. After having said that, let us look at other types of nouns. We have, I think I've mentioned the names that are associated with proper nouns, right? I said, for example, I said Grace, Eunice, Dorcas, Rukayat, Korode, etc. All these names must be spelled with capital letters. Grace, capital letter G, Eunice, capital letter E, Dorcas, capital letter D, Rukayat, capital letter R, and the rest of them. Don't you ever write the name of people with small letters. That's the proper noun. Then the other types of nouns we also want to consider under the first segment, which is the nominal group, include abstract nouns. Abstract nouns in this case do not give the physical existence, that is, things that don't have physical existence, materials that you cannot touch, materials that you cannot feel, materials that you cannot taste, things that don't have the quality of taste, the quality of touching, as in you touching the material and all that, but they exist as ideas. They exist, you might not see them, but they are there. For instance, we have love. Love is an abstract noun. You cannot see love, but people can express love. You can express love one to another. Then another aspect of the proper noun, the abstract noun, is beauty. You can't see beauty, you cannot touch beauty, you can't taste beauty. It's not a concrete object that can be felt, that can be touched, and all that. But then is when you see somebody that is beautiful, now say, this is a beautiful woman, this is a beautiful girl. So the implication is that abstract nouns exist in idea as forms of ideas, and you cannot touch it. Then you can also speak about sorrow. Sorrow is an abstract noun. Love is an abstract noun. Hatred, when you hate somebody, why you don't have any reason for hating that person, you just begin to develop some stupid hatred for that person. That is an abstract noun. Abstract noun in the sense that you cannot touch it, but inside of you, it is looming. Now let us look at another example of the nouns, right? We have to do with common nouns. Or this noun brings us to the common nouns. Common nouns are those that name things generally, things that are mentioned generally. For instance, girl is a common noun. It does not specify a specific girl in this class, but just say girls, or as many girls that are here. Girl is a common noun. Woman is a common noun. Man is a common noun. Then other types of common noun include mountain, trees, rivers, animals, and all that, etc. Buildings can be classified among the group of common noun. I believe somebody is listening to me. I also believe you're also taking down notes. Then another type of noun that we want to look at is the collective nouns. Collective noun, as the name suggests, the collection of things, that is, it expresses the collection of things, the collection of people, the collection of things, etc. What does this mean? That is, it names things in a group. It names things in a group. For instance, you can have a bunch of keys. A bunch of keys. That is, we use bunch of is the partitives that are used in describing or being able to name keys. Keys are not indicated, just keys, right? But you can make it to appear countable, a bunch of keys. Then you have a gallant of, and the rest of them. Now, other things include crowd, a crowd of people. Then you have a fleet of cars, a crate of eggs, etc., etc. What does this mean? It means that these are nouns. Don't forget, I'm looking at types of nouns. These are nouns that you cannot count. You cannot count them, but they exist. So rather, we refer to them collectively. Then among these collective nouns, then we can also have plural of nouns. Plural of nouns. Here, I want you to listen attentively, because there are different categories of plural of nouns. The first category is the one that ends with T, the suffix T or the letter T. Then it also ends with G. Please put it in quotation marks. T, G, and K. What does this mean? Let me give you examples of words. And whenever such nouns end with either K, a G, or T, it means it will take the suffix S. That is, the suffix S. S must be added to the initial word, to the base word. Base as in B-A-S-E, to the base word. And so when it is added to the base word, it will form the plural. Let's look at example of such word. For instance, we have dog. Dog end with letter G. So you add S to it in order to form the plural. It will be dogs. Then we have cats. Cat end with letter T. Don't forget, I asked you to indicate those letters. K, G, T. Cat ends with letter T. So what we need to do, these ones take suffix S. They take the last letter S to be able to form their plural. Then that now moves us into the second category. The second category of nouns that end with SH. Noted within quotation marks, SH, comma, you have CH, comma, Then you also have another one, is, X, and O. There are some words that are spelled with these letters I have enumerated above. Then let us look at words. Let us look at such nouns that end with these letters that I've mentioned. Then how do you form their plurals? For instance, we have church. Church, it ends with CH. Then to be able to form the plural form of church, you add ES, the suffix ES, to the base word, church, and then you have churches. Then another example, you have flash. Flash, FLASH. Then to be able to form the plural form of flash, you add ES. Don't forget, I said this set of nouns must take the suffix ES to form their plural, unlike the first one that I mentioned before that took the suffix "is" to be able to form their plural. Then another example of such word, like I said, flash, flashes, you have box, boxes to form the plural form of it, and then you have tomato end with O. So to form the plural, you add ES to it and you have tomatoes. Then another example of this group of words, this group of nouns that can form their plural, that is the plural of nouns, are, you have words that end in F, words that end in F, inclusive within quotation marks, F, comma, you have another one that ends with FE. If it's not ordinary F, then it's FE. Then you have another word. Let me give you examples of such words. For instance, you have knife. Knife, when you spell knife, 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 then how do you form the plural? You add VES to be able to form the plural. For instance, we have knives, instead of knife that had ended with the letter F. Then again, we also have another example which end with letter Y. Those words that end with letter Y, right? For instance, you have baby. Then the plural form of it will be babies. Body, it ends with letter Y. The plural form of it will be bodies. I believe somebody is listening to me and somebody is also following the explanation that I'm giving here. Now, after having said this, let us look at irregular nouns. Irregular nouns. Don't forget, I'm still looking at the first word class, which is the nominal group, and I'm taking the first component of the nominal group, which is the nouns, after which I will now go to pronouns, right? Pronouns. Then noun, I'm looking at the characteristics of nouns that are called irregular nouns. What are they like? For instance, these are words that you only add is to the first word, then it will give you the plural form of it. For instance, you have sister-in-law, sisters-in-law. Not the is not added to the word in-law. In-law, that's an hyphenated word, in-law. You don't add is to the other segment, but rather to the basement, to the base aspect of the word, that is the initial word. I believe you understand what I'm saying, the initial word. So you have sisters-in-law, mothers-in-law, brothers-in-law, etc. Don't you ever make any mistake of adding is to in-laws. There's nothing like that. There's no English word like in-laws, but rather sisters-in-law, brothers-in-law, etc., etc. Now let us also look at another type of irregular noun. Irregular noun. In this case, the suffix, as in the suffix of the base word, will be the second part of the word is where the plural form of it will start from. Let us look at this example. For instance, I said add the plural suffix to two parts. The example of such word is have women drivers. Women drivers. You cannot add is to women because already women is in plural. But you can add is to drivers. I said the second part of the word, those words that are two components, but they are being hyphenated. So you have women drivers. Then you can also have men drivers, etc., etc. Now, another type of irregular nouns that fall under this group are the ones that the last elements. The last elements will take the suffix. The last elements will take the suffix. For example, let us look at fellow students. Fellow students. You don't add ace to fellow, but rather you add ace to students. And fellow students is hyphenated. Fellow, you spell fellow, then you indicate hyphen before student. So the students will take the suffix s and not a fellow. Then you have car drivers, etc., etc. Now let us quickly look at the plural nouns, right? Those ones that do not form the plural. Those ones that do not form the plural by adding any suffix. They don't form the plural by adding any suffix. Let us look at such example. For instance, cattle. You don't add any suffix, whether suffix is or suffix es or anything to cattle. They are the word are spelled the same way in the singular sense of it and in the plural sense of it. Another example is clergy. You don't say clergies. It's wrong. It is wrong. You don't say clergies, but clergy. Other examples include deer, D-E-E-R, that animal, and again sheep. So these ones do not take suffix of any kind. And when I say suffix of any kind, I believe you understand, because when I first started, I brought out those ones with that end with letter Y that can take the suffix IES. I mentioned the one that can take the suffix S, that is dog, cat, and the rest of them. Then again, let us also look at another classical words that they are neutral, that they are neutralized plural form. That is the neutralized plural form. Follow this kind of spelling or come in this nature. I say some classical words that have their plural form neutralized. What do I mean by that? Let us look at examples. Museums. Museum. Then the a suffix s will be added to it, and again the word museum. Then you also have orator. Orator, then orators, right? Then when they are many, we have prospectus. Prospectus, as in it is spelled with prospectus, etc. After having said this, the first part of the nominal group, which is the noun, then let us look at the pronouns. Pronouns, like I want you to understand, is the noun substitute. Pronoun is the noun substitute. What does that mean? Pronoun helps you to avoid repetition. Instead of repeating the initial name, the noun, the proper noun, you say Eunice is in the class. Eunice is writing a note. Eunice is reading at the library. To avoid the repetition of the proper noun, Eunice or Dorcas or Grace, the first thing you have to do is to substitute it with the pronoun. It avoids unnecessary repetition, and again it also saves the aspect of monotony in the sense that we repeat it over and over again. So pronoun avoid repetition and also remove monotony of speech, like I've already said. Then let us look at types of pronoun. The first one before us this day is relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. What do you understand by relative pronouns? That is those pronouns that will help you that will have this word spelled in them, or this word attached to them, or this word that will show the aspect of relative, right? For instance, we have who. The question can be, or the sentence can be, the boy who came yesterday got the award. The boy who came yesterday got the award. So you can see that who is the relative pronoun in this case. Who is the relative pronoun in this case? Then let us also look at another example of the pronoun. That one is whom. After who, then the next one is whom. Then look at this sentence. For example, I said the lady to whom I gave my pen has left. Let us believe that by the time I came to the class, I decided to give my biro to somebody who did not have a biro to write with. Then by the time, or before the end of the class, the students left. So I now said the lady whom, or the girl whom I gave my biro to, or my pen has left. The lady whom I gave my pen has left. So whom is the relative pronoun and who is the relative pronoun. Now let us look at another example that can also show. So in this case, I said the first example with who shows subjective case. Who shows subjective case, right? What do I mean by subjective case? While the second one shows objective case. Subjective in the sense that the explanation is subjective in the sense that the explanation does not hold on to, it doesn't hold on to any specific thing. That is, it starts the sentence, is at the beginning of the sentence or thereabout. It's subjective, it's not objective. If somebody said you're objective, it means you know what you're saying, or you're deliberate in saying and things like that. But when it is subjective, it doesn't follow that. For instance, we said the man that I introduced to you got married yesterday. So in this case, the group of words that I introduced to you act as the second example of the relative pronoun. Let us quickly move to another type of pronoun, which is reflexive pronoun. Reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns. I say this type of pronouns use self. This type of pronoun use self. Self in the singular and selves in the plural. For instance, we speak of itself. That is when it has to do with neuter. Then when it has to do with masculine and feminine gender, you have the word herself. Then when it has to do with masculine gender, you have the word himself. That is self rather is attached to the pronoun. That's why it is called reflexive pronoun. Let us look at other examples. You have examples like myself, yourself, himself, herself, themselves, itself, right? Themselves, itself, and as many examples as possible. In this case, you find out that the word myself indicate the first person pronoun, what the first person pronoun has done or is doing. I did the work myself. I did the teaching myself. That is, I didn't send any other person to teach for me. I conducted or I carried out the teaching by myself. Myself, that is the first person pronoun. Then again, we also look at the second person pronoun, the definite second person pronoun, you. You, whether you is used in Nigeria, you is used is adopted or employed in UK or in France, it is the same you. And whether the you refers to just one person or several groups of persons, you, that will always be you. And that's why they call it, or they refer to it as definite pronoun, definite second person pronoun, you, Y-O-U, you. So after having said that, right, we take a look at the reciprocal pronouns. Reciprocal pronoun, that is when you refer to other people that belong to other people, right? That indicate the presence of the pronoun. Other people that indicate the presence of the pronoun. For instance, you have each other. Each other there, that is, you're not referring to yourself, but you're referring to another person, each other. Then you can also say one another, as in if you are talking, and say learn to share your ideas with one another, This one another might be somebody that you have known, or it might also be somebody that you don't know, right? Then again, we also look at another type of pronoun, which is the interrogative pronouns. Interrogative pronouns ask questions. And what are the words that interrogative pronoun use in asking questions? For instance, who gave you the orange? Who is the interrogative pronoun because it initiates the action, and it asks questions to determine who exactly carried out the action or who performed the action. Then the second type of interrogative pronoun is how. how did you go about the assignment? How did you do the assignment? In that case, the person wants to know the manner in which you carried out the assignment. Did you copy the assignment from another person, or did you go into the library to read and to collect materials to write the assignment? It is important. Listen and listen carefully to me. As you are here, don't depend on friends to write your assignment. Read and master the ideas, and therefore put it into practice, and that you will be a better person, you will be a better student, that you will pass your examination very well. Then another type of interrogative pronoun is when. When can we come into the class? When can we come into the class? What is the implication? It means maybe the time. We want to know the time, the exact time when the lecture is starting, and then we also want to find out when exactly you can come into the class. Then after having said that, have I mentioned the pronoun in the first person pronoun, the persons of pronoun, the persons of pronoun takes or come in this manner. You have the first person. The first person will always, for the singular, will be I. I am in the class. Then the plural form of the first person pronoun is we. That is, you, the students, and me, the lecturer. We are in the class. Then you will see the pronoun, the first person pronoun functioning in the singular position, and the first person pronoun functioning in the plural position. Then the second person pronoun, which I've already explained, I say is the definite you. Whether you is referring to one person or you is referring to another person, it doesn't change. The indefinite the indefinite second person pronoun, the indefinite second person pronoun you. The first person pronoun is I, and then you have we for plural. Then you will be you in the first, in the singular, and you in the plural, right? Then when we want to show the subjective case of the first person pronoun, the subjective case of the second person pronoun, and the subjective case of another gender called neuter, because they seem to be two genders, but the other one is silent, as in is unrecognized, because it refers to things, that is, it names things that are not human. So we don't classify them under gender, but we have rather two genders, which are masculine and feminine. But the other type is referred to as neuter. It shouldn't come under gender. So that's what I'm trying to explain. The neuter takes it as in to show, and again it can also take, that's for the neuter. Then for the third person, it can be he or she for third person. Then for neuter, it, that is for things that are not lively, inanimate object, you can use it, neuter, to refer to them, and that's the neuter aspect of the pronoun. For the third person pronoun under masculine, we have he, that is the subjective case, he. Then we also have she for the masculine. Sorry, what have I said? I say he for the masculine. Sorry about that. He for the masculine. Then she for the feminine gender. Then it for neuter. Then let us see the plural form of it, just like I've already said, I and we in the plural form of it. Then I also mention you in the plural form of the indefinite second person pronoun. Then in the third person pronoun, we can say they, that is the plural aspect of it. In this particular usage, you are not among the group of persons or among the individual that are being referred to. That is, it's only a group of people whom you are not associated with. So we can use they to show the plural form of it. And then when we want to show the objective case of what the first person pronoun, the second person pronoun, and neuter possess, then we can use me, that is me, that I did the work myself. It was me that did it. Then again we have the you did the reading yourself. It was you that carried out the reading. Then him, her, and it all belong to the objective case. Then after having said that, let us quickly move to the verbal group. Don't forget, I say classes of words to make up the structural element of a sentence. As we are proceeding, I've not given you the definition of a sentence yet. It is after we shall have finished going through these classes of word, or these word classes or part of speech. That's when we can arrive at the actual meaning or definition of a sentence. What does that mean? The second class of word that we want to look at is the verb. If you don't refer to it as verb, it can often always be called the verbal group. The verbal group, in that case, it is more than the main verb. The main verb plus other words that are added to the verb before the main verb can make meaning. Most especially those verbs that cannot stand by themselves and make meaning. There are some verbs that can operate by themselves. They need the assistance of the auxiliary, and then that will now take us into looking at the auxiliary. For instance, ask me what are the main verbs. For instance, eat is the main verb, eat. Then what is it called? Talk is the main verb, and many other examples like that. So these major verbs can make meaning on their own. I swept the floor by myself. Then swept here is the past tense of sweep. I did it by myself. Do you understand? So the main verb does not need I shall do it, or will do it, or must have done it, or may be done. It doesn't need, because they can make and communicate. They can make meaning by themselves, and they can also communicate the meaning. Then again, let us also see the other type of verb that take some suffix in order to express their meaning very well. For instance, here I have verb plus is. Verb plus is, and this verb plus is often always used with third person pronoun. He talks, he eats, he sweeps, she dances, with the third person. That is the verb that take the suffix is often used with the third person pronoun. Then we move to the second part of another verb that I said, verb plus. Verb plus, in this case, will take the past tense. Verb plus will take the past tense, ed. So you have talked when you're referring to the distant past. Talked, as in T-A-L-K-E-D, talked. Then we can also have another one that they call participial form. Participial form, or geronsive. Geronsive, that is in communication in English, it is called geronsive. What is the meaning of geronsive? That is the main verb plus the ing, the suffix ing, and this is also referred to as participial form. This participial form will take ing. For instance, you have talking, you have speaking, you have eating, and the rest of them. That is the ing form has been added to it. Then we have the verb plus en. Verb plus en, still participial form. Verb plus en. For instance, don't forget, we are using the main verb talk. So we have seen the main verb talk with the third person pronoun that takes or attracts is. We see the main verb talk with with past tense that takes the suffix ed, talked. And we are seeing the main verb talk with the participial form, adding the geronsive ing. Then we've also seen the main verb talked with the plus en, the main verb talk plus en, and that we have taken. Listen, you say take or taken. Take, he has taken his bed this morning. He has taken his bed this morning. It's not every word that verb can be active. It's not every word that verb that is the one that has plus en can express meaning, or can attract the en. For instance, talk cannot attract en, etc. Now let us look at the auxiliary verbs. These auxiliary verbs are often always known as, there are two types. We have non-modal auxiliary. Non-modal auxiliary. Under the non-modal auxiliary, we have three types. Listen and listen. I hope you're jotting it down. Three types of non-modal auxiliary. The first one is with the verb be, be. The verb be. It expresses the first form, or it classifies the first form, or it explains the first form of non-modal auxiliary. The first one is with the verb be. The verb be has about 6 cases. For instance, you have am. Am is the first verb. I am in the class. Am is the verb. I am in the class. And without am being added, being used in the sentence will be a phrase. You say, am class. Does that make meaning? It doesn't make meaning at all. So the main verb or the verb form of the verb be, the first form of the verb be is am. The second form of the verb be is is. Is. He is eating. He is eating his food. So is the second form of the verb be. Without this second form of the verb is, right, the verb be is, the sentence will just be a phrase. That is, it doesn't make any meaning. It does not have any finite verb. So he will be eating his food. Does that make meaning? So the verb plays a very vital role in the expression of English sentence. It gives meaning to what the speaker is saying, etc. Now, the third part of the verb be is are. That is when you're looking at the plural form of it. You and I are in the class. Then when you're referring to be, say he may be eating, he may be sleeping. He's still using the be form of the verb itself. He may be eating, he may be sleeping, right? Then again, we also have another one, the past forms, because we have the simple present form, we have the present form, we have the simple present form, and now we want to look at the past forms of these verbs, the past forms of this verb. For example, we have was taking the place of is, that is the past form of the word is. He was in the class early in the morning. He was in the class instead of he is in the class, which means as early as 7 o'clock, he was in the class. Then if we are referring to the plural subject, that is the subject in that sentence are plural. You and I are in the class, or they are in the class. In this case, you're not included. Then we can as well use the past form of it as were. Don't forget, I've said you was. I've said was, and now we want to look at the distant past by bringing in were. They were in the class as at the time I left. So which means the moment the speaker is expressing herself, the students were no longer there because they had already left. They were in the class as at the time I left. Then we look at the being, the verb being. Don't forget, it's still under the verb be. Like I mentioned, the first 6, I'm done with the first 6. I want to look at the last 3 of the verb be. And this has to do with being. Is still part of the verb be. Being, that is being. And being here is in the continuous form. It is what in the continuous form. Then we look at being. Been, B-E-E-N. B-E-E-N, the be part of the verb or the form of the verb be is often always used with the verb to have conjugate. What do I mean by the verb to have conjugate? That is the verb has. The verb, that is the auxiliary modal, the non-modal auxiliary has, H-A-S. Then you also have the non-modal auxiliary H-A-V-E for plural, or the first person. When you're using the first person, you can use have. You can never use first person pronoun with H-A-S. Abomination, you can't do that. But you can use the first person pronoun with H-A-V-E. I have the book you are looking for. I have the book you're looking for. He has been here in the morning. He has been, or they have been working on the farm since in the morning. So the implication is that you see the way the verb being is being used in this sentence. They have been working on the farm since morning. They had, H-A-D, that's the third form of the verb to have conjugate, H-A-D, that is showing the distant past, which means as at the time the action is taking place, the action had already been completed. That's when you use the verb H-A-D, had. Then after having said that, let us move to the verb have itself, the verb have conjugate. And don't forget, I mentioned under the non-modal auxiliaries, we have three forms. The verb be, the verb have is what I am going to explain now. I've completed the explanation of the verb be, and I've shown you the 9 various forms of the verb be. Is, was, were, are, be. Then you have been, showing the continuous aspect of it. Then you have been, the perfect form, and therefore you also have to be, or be is said, may be writing his assignment, may be walking on the field, may be playing football. The boy may be playing football. That is, you're not certain of what this boy is doing and things like that. So you use be, that is, you're not saying it, probability, right? Then let us look at the verb to have conjugate. I've already explained that has can only go with third person pronoun, right? And it is in the simple form. Then the verb have is also in the simple form, but it goes with compound subject or a second person the indefinite second person pronoun, you. So you can say, you have done the assignment. You have been asked to see your head of department. In this case, you see that the have, H-A-V-E, is plural, and therefore it's the simple form, and it doesn't go with singular subject, but it can only go with plural subject. Then you may ask me the question, is I a plural subject? Of course, I is the first person pronoun, and so it takes the plural subject to explain it. When it comes to the verb to have conjugate, note, when it comes to the verb to have conjugate, you say, I have the answer to your question. It cannot take has, H-A-S, but in the past form of it, as in to show the distant past, you will take H-A-D, heart. I had the idea of I had the idea of the question you asked. That is, as at the time the candidate was speaking, he had already had the idea. Then let us quickly move to modal auxiliaries. Modal auxiliaries. We have done the non-modal auxiliary. Let us quickly go to modal auxiliaries. What are the modal auxiliaries? We have the type they call lexeme. This lexeme include will, shall, may, can, used to, ought to. These are the lexeme of the modal auxiliary. Then the present form of this lexeme include will, like I've already mentioned, will, shall, can, do, and the rest of them. Then to look at the past form of it, we say should. I should have done the assignment, as in taking the place of shall. Then you have the will, the past form of it will be would. Then can, the past form of it will be could. Then may, the past form of it will be might, M-I-G-A-T, G-H-T. Then the past form of can could be could, etc., etc., just like I said. Then used to means used to. I used to know these students outside Olabisi and Obanjo University. Used to, it means as at the time you're referring to, that you might not have known the students again. Then after having said that, let us quickly move to adjectives, another word class of this of the sentence structure. Another word class of the sentence structure. We look at the adjectives. Adjectives, we are told, linguists say they generally qualified nouns and pronouns. That is, the function of the adjectives. Adjectives are to qualify the nouns or the pronoun. What do I mean by that? Let us look at this sentence, for example. He said, this is a very handsome young man. This is a very handsome young man. So now, what is the adjective in this case? Very handsome. Very handsome, right? Or you can say, the boy is very handsome. So the adjective here is, it qualifies the noun. And what is the noun in this case? The boy. And you ask me the question, can common noun be used as subject? Of course, when the common noun has taken the articles. What do I mean by article? The definite article, they, or the indefinite article when you say a girl, an animal, an ant, right? then you can use it as a head word or the subject of the sentence under the nominal group. So in this case, it will be H plus H. H here means the head word. You now say Dorcas is in the class. Dorcas is writing assignment. So in this case, it's just the proper noun. Well, Dorcas is a very beautiful girl. So you have the head word and the qualifier, which is the adjective. But on the other hand, you can say the girls in the class are very hardworking. The girls in the class are very hardworking. What does that mean? You have the modifier. And what is the modifier in this case? The article they. Then the head word, which include the common noun as girls, then are in the class and they are very hardworking. Then let us also look at other types of adjectives. In this case, we look at adjectives of quality. Adjectives of quality. That is those ones that express the quality of the person or things you're referring to. That express the quality of the person or things you are referring to. For example, we can say the woman is generous. Generous in this case is the quality, adjective of quality. The woman is generous. Generous because you have met the woman several times, and each time you have met this woman, she has, shown you some act of kindness by buying things for you, giving you money, and the rest of the story. So we now say the woman is generous. Don't forget, I say adjectives of quality. Another example can be the clever boy came first. The clever boy came first. The clever girl came first. Now, what is the adjective in that sentence? Can somebody quickly tell me? I don't have the time to go around your classes to check what you are writing or what you are doing. The adjective in this case is clever. That shows the quality, adjectives of quality. Say the clever boy came first or the clever girl came first. Now we look at the demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrative pronouns, those ones that direct attention to a noun or a pronoun. The kind of pronouns that direct attention to the noun or another pronoun. For instance, you say, this is a book. In this case, you are specific. You're not referring to just any book, but this particular book. This, THIA, singular. Then we can also have another one like that. Still demonstrate. You are pointing at an object that is far away from where you are. That is the girl I mentioned to you. That is the girl I mentioned to you. That is the table I wanted to use. That table is not close to you. It's not the one you're using to write your assignment. It's not the one you're using to take down your note in the class. It's far away, so you can use that. The demonstrative pronoun, it shows action. Then we also use another demonstrative pronoun such as a which when you are referring to, when you want to ask adjectives that can ask questions, adjectives that ask questions, right? But they appear only in the initial segments of the question, or initial statement of the question, or initial statement of what you are referring to, and they begin with the words WH. This kind of demonstrative pronoun begins with the word WH. WH are their element. Let us look at such example. For instance, I say which manuscript is this? Which assignment is this? Let's assume that you are coming to the class with several assignment in English, assignment in Lit 105, introduction to prose literature, and all other assignments. I say assignment in introduction to logic. I mean, so at the end of the day, after having submitted to me, I would say, which assignment is this? Is it the assignment in English 101 or the assignment in Lit 105, introduction to prose literature? So what am I saying? The point I'm making is that the first WH, which, right, indicates the elements of another type of demonstrative adjectives. Then we have what? Don't forget this set of demonstrative pronouns ask questions. I say they ask questions and they have the elements of WH. Other example, you have what? You have whose, when. Now let us look at sentences that clarify them. For example, we say, what arrangement have you made? What arrangement have you made towards your party? It means you are planning for a party. Then I'm asking to know the arrangement, the structure you have put on ground as regard your party that is coming up next week and all that. You see, it has the question what, and it has the element WH. Then let us also look at quantitative adjectives. What do I mean by quantitative adjective? That is, the adjective express the quantity of things. Those adjectives that express the quantity of things. For instance, you can say one, some, those, etc. These are examples. For instance, he posted only one letter yesterday. He posted only one letter yesterday. He wrote only one assignment. Yes, he has so much assignment to do, but he only ended up writing just one. So we now said he posted or he wrote one assignment yesterday. Then you also have some. Don't forget, I said these ones are quantitative adjectives. For instance, you have some people are making noise in this class. Some people are making noise in this class. In this case, I am not able to identify the people that are making noise, but all what I know is that some people are disturbing in this class. So you see the quantitative adjective of one and some being used here. Then again, we can also have another type of adjective that they call particularizing adjectives. Particularizing adjective. In this case, you are particular about item or issues. Yeah, okay, sir. So you have this kind of adjectives. For instance, you have no, none, many, little, and few, etc. Time is not on my side. Then I want to quickly move to adverbs. What are the adverbs here? You have just one R, and I don't know how we are going to, whether this class shall be repeated for us so that we can take a look at some common errors in sentences. But now we are still dealing with the word classes of the sentence. We've not even finished it, but time is not on my side. Let us quickly look at the adjectives. Sorry, the adverbs. We've done the adjectives, so now look at the adverbs. We have adverb of manner. It shows the manner in which a particular action was performed or a particular action was carried out as at the time the speaker was speaking. Then we have the adverb of place. Under adverb of a manner, it always takes the suffix ly. He speaks quietly. He walks gently, right? He walks slowly. You could see the suffix ly being attached to the main word, slow, quiet, and all that. Then we have adverb of place, that is to show the exact place where the event took place. For example, we have here, there, everywhere, anywhere, etc. Then we have adverb of time. Adverb of time will answer the question when. When did the event take place? Today we can say, for example, we have the following example: today, later, next year, and many others, and so on. Then we have adverb of frequency. Adverb of frequency shows the time in which the event occurrence of the event. For instance, you can say once, always, right? Often. Does the event occur more than once? Was it at the particular aspect and all that? So you have frequency, one, always, often. Then we have adverb of degree. Adverb of degree will show rarely. It rarely happens. She rarely comes to class. And then the question is to find out what is her problem that she has not been coming to class. She has not been attending lectures. She has been absconding from our classes. She rarely comes to class. Then in this case, you can also have another example like very. Very shows adverb of degree. Very. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That is, we want to show the degree of your appreciation, the degree of gratitude that you owe to the person for having done a particular thing for you or thereabout. Then we have the interrogative adverb. Interrogative adverb more or less look like the demonstrative pronoun, but they are not demonstrative pronoun. Note. So under the interrogative adverb, we have how. How are you? how are you feeling, and all that. Then we can have where, that is to show the where were you when the text was being written. Then we also have another one, which book are you referring to? Because if you go to the librarian and tell her or him that you want a certain book, she might ask you which book exactly. That is adverb, which, that is we are looking at interrogative adverb. Then we have what they call relative adverb. Under relative adverb, it also begin with the elements of WH in quotation marks. WH, you have why, where, and when. In this case, they do not have the question tag. They don't often have the question tag, but they will have the elements of WH. Let us quickly look at prepositions. There are so many prepositions in English. For instance, we have under, above, over, on, inside, and all that. There are many. I don't have the time to explain all of it, but I want you to read them up in your communication in English. Then again, we have conjunctions, right? Beside the preposition of under, above, over, on, inside, we have the preposition of at, by, and all others. Then again, we have conjunctions, that help to bring clauses together, or help to bring a group of words or group of phrases together. And these are the conjunctions here are but, B-U-T, but. Then we have another conjunction like or, O-R, and we also have another conjunction like and. You and I were eating in the lecture hall. You and I were eating in the lecture hall. And of course, you don't eat in the lecture hall, right? And so what am I saying? To show that it was not me alone that ate in the lecture hall, but you also ate in the lecture hall. So you could see how the conjunction and have brought the compound subject, you and I, etc. Then we also have other forms of conjunctions like though, however, nevertheless, although. All these are other forms of conjunction. Let us look at this. Say the man or his daughter will deliver the lecture. The man or his daughter will deliver the lecture. You can see the function of all in that sentence. The man, if not the man, it is his daughter that will deliver the lecture. He said he was angry, but he waited till the end of the program. Though the anger stirred up in him at the onset of the program, but he waited, he controlled himself and waited till the end of the program. You can see the function of but in that sentence. Then you also have another one, for instance, like she worked very hard, nevertheless she didn't win the prize. That will not be your portion. As you work hard, read and work conscientiously, you will succeed in Jesus' name. So they said she worked hard, but nevertheless did not win the prize. So what am I saying? My bone of contention, or the point I am emphasizing here, is on the conjunction, nevertheless. Let us quickly look at phrases and clauses. Don't forget, we are still looking at the component, the word classes of the sentence structure, the structural elements of the sentence. There are so many parts that make up the sentence. Now we have done all others. I don't have the time to go over it again, but we want to look at phrases and clauses. What is a phrase? They said a phrase is a group of words without a finite verb. A phrase does not have a finite verb. For instance, you have the girl. Does that have a verb? So which girl are you referring to? What exactly about the girl? What's so special about the girl? Just the girl. So we are looking at the phrase because it doesn't have a finite verb. It's just a group of words. Then we can also say that a phrase does not have a complete thought. It doesn't have a complete thought. Eating in the kitchen. Does that make meaning? Who ate in the kitchen? Eating in the kitchen is a phrase. It doesn't have the finite verb. It does not have the subject. It doesn't have it does not explain the complete thought and all that. Then we also look at another type of there are various types of phrases. There are various types of phrases in English. We have the noun phrase. the noun phrase, it means it will have the head word as the noun. The noun in that sentence will be the head word. Then after that, you have the modifier. The modifier, which is the prefix, will come before the head word. For instance, say the woman. And I mentioned earlier that is the common noun that always take modifiers. Is the common noun that always take modifiers. That is the prefix or the articles. The articles like the definite article, the, the, or the definite article, the indefinite article. The indefinite article, sorry about that, is the. The other articles are a and an. A and an can be used with words that begin with vowels, words that have vowel sounds. But when you use a, is used with a consonant sound, while an is used with vowel sounds, words that are spelled with vowel sound. But when you use the definite article, the, it means you are sure and you know the person, the character you're referring to. It's not just any girl in the class, but that particular girl, the girl that the antecedent is known both to the speaker as well as to the listener. Then we also have another type of phrases that is the noun phrase that show on the object position. It can show in the subject position, it can show in the object position, it can also show in the adverbial position, and that will now explain the SPCA. SPCA. What do I mean by SP? Ace is the subject. In this case, you have the tall girl. The tall girl. So the subject of this sentence is the tall girl. Right? Then let us look at the P. P here stands for predicate, obligatory word, compulsory word that must be part and parcel of a sentence structure. And that compulsory word, without the compulsory word being in a sentence, then that sentence cannot be completed. Right? It may not express any action or thought. Don't forget, we said a sentence. Okay, I'm here to tell you that a sentence is a group of words that has the finite verb. I think I've said that along the line. A sentence is a group of words that has the finite verb. And so when I now said SP, that is the subject, the predicate, or compulsory or obligatory word, then we have C. C here is complement. If it's not complement, then we have A, which is the adverbial. So let us look at this sentence. Put it down. The tall girl left the book on the table. The tall girl left the book on the table. What is the implication of this? If you look at the subject of that sentence, it has the noun as the head word. The noun as the head word. But in this case, is M plus H. M plus H, that formula. M plus H. What is the M? Or what are the M here? You have the modifier, tall, which is the adjective, as another modifier before the head word boy. Then under the P, don't forget I say SPCA. SPCA. Now let me explain the function of the P, which I've already made mention of the fact that this is the verb, obligatory word, compulsory word, that is the predicate. You can't do without it. And so in this head, I said left. The tall girl left. And it's just one word. It's not a verbal group like when we have the non-modal auxiliary attached to it, or we have the modal auxiliary going with the main or the major verb. But this one is just the head word. The head word alone in this case is the verb. And what kind of verb, as far as this sentence is concerned? The common verb, boy. Then we have the complement, the book. That is, it was this book that the tall girl left on the table. Then on the table here shows the adverb of place, right? Adverb of place. It was on the table that the tall girl left the book. So you can see that structure is complete. How is it complete? That's the subject. The subject in this case are phrases, right? Phrases in the sense that you have the tall boy, modifier plus adjective before the head word. Then the predicate is just one word, the main word alone, left in the past form. Then we have the complement. The complement, what's the complement? The book. He left the book. So it's also another phrase. Don't forget, the phrase is a group of words that does not express meaning. It doesn't have the finite verb. It does not express a complete thought or meaning. So the book does not have meaning. The tall boy does not have meaning. Then again, on the table does not also have meaning. So these are components of phrases. But the only thing that can qualify this combination of phrases put together to make a sentence is when the predicate, the compulsory word, the obligatory word, the verb is added to the sentence. And that's when we say the tall girl left her book on the table, left the book on the table. Then again, we can also look at another group of phrase. For instance, many students have the lecture. The lecture here is a common noun. So in that case, to be able to express it to make meaning, you have to bring in the modifier. What is the modifier in this case? The indefinite article. And then again, you have last night. Last night, that is adverb of time. It was just last night that happened. So in this case, you say many students attended the lecture last night. Maybe the lecture was online, because if it had not been online, there's no way you would have traced your way or locate yourself to lecture theater 2. The front part of it as in 009. There's no way you would have been able to locate yourself to that place. So the lecture must have been online. That's why he said many students attended the lecture last night. After having said that, I know that you will take your book and read other aspects for more examples and more clarification. Let me quickly move to the B part of it, which is the clauses. I've finished with the phrases. Let us look at the clauses. I said a clause is a group of words with a finite verb. Unlike the phrase that had been a group of words without the finite verb, the clause in this case is a group of words with the finite verb. What does that mean? It means that the clause here are of two types. You have the main clause, you also have the subordinate clause. The main clause and the subordinate clause. Don't forget the clause differ from the phrase. The phrase doesn't make meaning, it's just a group of words. The boy, who is the boy? What about the boy? What can we do with the boy? Of what value and what function is the boy? Just the boy is a group of words. But when we say clause, it means it has the finite verb. It means it has a complete thought on its own. It has a sentence structure because all the elements, all the components of a sentence are within that structure. For instance, let us look at this sentence. Types of clauses. I want to first take a look at noun clause. Noun clause. Look at this. He said, what he needed most was given to him. What he needed most was given to him. Now, in this case, I'm looking at the noun clause that does the work of the noun. The noun clause that does the work of the noun. What does it mean? It means it has the subject and also has the verb. This sentence has the subject and also has the verb. So we can say it expresses a complete thought and it also expresses a complete meaning. Let us look at another example. I said, the man will be back in quite uncertain. The man will be back is quite uncertain. That man will be back is quite uncertain. That is, the time in which the man in question shall come back is uncertain. In that case, it means that we don't know when the man is coming back. But look at the clause here. The clause in the first sentence is that the man will be back. That the man will be back. That is a phrase. Then this phrase is joined to the obligatory word, the predicate, which is, and then you have quite uncertain as the complement. You don't know when exactly the man in question shall come. That's the noun clause because it must have the noun as components of that clause. Then let us quickly look at another clause, which is that function in the object, the clause that function in the complement of a verb. That is the clause that can be the complement of a verb. The clause that can be the complement of a verb. Now look at this sentence. Her participation is what annoys us. Our participation is what annoys us. So now what is the clause in this case? What annoys us? What annoys us? When we look at it in the beginning of sentence is our participation, and therefore we have the verb is what annoys us. And in this case, you see that the clause function in the complement position, and many other examples like that. Then let us quickly look at the adjectival a clause. As soon as I'm done with the adjectival clause, I want us to quickly rush to some common errors in English, some common errors of English language, some common errors of English language. Because when next I shall come back by God's grace, we are not taking this topic again. We are looking at another topic. And that's why I have mandated you to read through your chapters 10 and chapters 11 of your communication in English to get details of this particular topic. So let us quickly look at adjectival clauses. What have I said a clause is? I said a clause is a group of words that has the finite verb. A clause is a group of words that expresses complete thought and complete meaning. It means it has the sentence structure. And because it has the sentence structure, therefore it can go for a sentence. Unlike the phrase that does not have the sentence structure, it's just a group of words that does not make meaning. It doesn't have the finite verb and all that. So let us look at the adjectival clause. The adjectival clause in this case will have the main part of the word adjective. Adjective will be part and parcel of the components of the word. And in this case, it means it is the adjectival clause that will perform the function of an adjective. The adjectival clause will perform the function, will carry out the role of an adjective. So the implication is that it is often always introduced by a pronoun. I take that up again. I said the adjectival clause performs the function of an adjective. It performs the function of an adjective. Then again, I also made mention of the fact that it is often always introduced by a relative pronoun. Often always introduced by a relative pronoun. Now let us take a look at the following sentences. For instance, I said the shoe which she liked were not in the market. The shoe which she liked were not in the market. The implication is that we have gone through all the markets and we did not see the shoe that the person in question liked. Then again, let us also look at restrictive adjectival clause. Restrictive, that is, it restricts itself to certain class of people or certain class of events and all that. Let us take example at the following sentences. People who love him came to his party. You see that is a complete sentence. People who love him. What is the verb in this sentence? You see that love is the verb in this sentence, and then you have the object, right? And what is the object there? Him. People who love him came to the party, and you have the complement. What is the complement? The party and all that. Now let us quickly look at the common errors of English language. Common errors of English language. English is the official language in Nigeria. It is the language of politics, it's the language of religion, it's the language of education, it's the language of religion and all that. And because English is an official language, how did English come to Nigeria? How had it been that English is used as the official language of law, politics, and thereabout in Nigeria? And of course, critics make us to understand that English language was handed over to us by the colonial masters. That is, those that rule Nigeria their main language was English, and so they incorporated it in the lives of the citizenry, so that at the end of the day they will be able to prosper in whatever activities they have come to do. And the colonial masters, they said some of them came as missionaries, so they used English language to communicate with the person, with the people, and some came as traders, as in the aspect, in the business of commerce, and so they used the English language to communicate with the people. And it is believed that critics made us to understand that when the language leaves its original home of origin, right, and gets in contact with another area, another location, that there are some errors that are often always detected in such languages. There are some errors that are often always detected in such language or such languages. And the case is that of English, the English language, because it left the original country, Britain, and came to Nigeria. And of course, Nigeria had already had their own indigenous languages. Critics and linguists made us to understand as far back as many years ago that Nigeria had 250 languages, dialect, and clusters. And so if Nigeria had 250 languages, clusters, and dialect, then why is it that English has come to stay? Why? Because there is none of these languages in use and the dialect and the clusters used by the Nigerian people that could be commonized in order to become a language of education, language of law, language of religion, etc., language of politics, etc. So English has been handed over. It has become the official language. It has come to stay, and that is why we are using it. Then what are the errors? Like I want to mention now, there are so many errors that identify or can be associated with the English language. Don't forget, it is not an indigenous language. The number one error is wrong reflection of tense. Wrong reflection of tense. That is, people often always substituted present tense with past tense, or when they use past tense, they don't know the verb that can go with the tense that they are, or the expression that they are making. For instance, I want you to quickly store it in your brain that the word did, the verb did, which is the past form of do. You know, we have another class of the verb be, that is the non-modal auxiliary. I mentioned the verb be, I mentioned the verb have, to have conjugate, I mentioned the verb do. Then I did not mention, okay, I mentioned the verb do, mentioned the verb to have conjugate, and the rest of them. But now I want to mention the verb do. The verb do, you have do when you are referring to the plural subject, does when you are referring to a third person pronoun, that is third person pronoun, he, she, does his work conscientiously, right? He or she does his work conscientiously. So the verb do can go with third person. Then the verb do, that is does. What have I said? I said the verb does goes with the third person pronoun. The verb do goes with the first person pronoun or the indefinite second person pronoun, you. You do your work conscientiously. I do my work conscientiously. But when the past form, the past tense of the verb do is applied in a sentence, the verb that follows it must automatically be in present tense. You can never use the verb did with past tense. Do we understand what I'm saying? Past verb. No, it is not right. It's not possible. So when once you have used the past form of the verb did, D-I-D, the verb that follows it must be in the present tense. Take for instance, he said, did you go to the market yesterday? Did you go to the market yesterday? You could see the word did, the non-modal auxiliary did, going with the main verb go. So it will be wrong. In your book, there are many incorrect sentences that are being stated there. So when you go through them, you will understand more. Then again, you also have, for instance, you cannot say I have did the work. It is wrong. It is wrong. But rather you can say, because of the influence of the non-modal verb have, the verb to have conjugate. So the moment that verb has been employed in a sentence, the word been, as in the other form of the verb been, B-E-E-N, must be there. So the verb that follows it must be in the past, right? For instance, I have done my job conscientiously. He has done his job conscientiously. I have done here. It cannot be, you cannot use D-I-D or D-O as the present form and the past form of the verb to be able to express with this non-modal auxiliary of the verb to have conjugate. Then there is this word. People always spell this word B-U-R-S-T-E-D. People always think that is the correct spelling. It is not. We don't have any word like busted. It is wrong. But we have boss. That is the spelling, whether you're looking at it in the present tense, you're looking at it in the past tense, or you're looking at it in the future tense, is still the same spelling. So the same thing with another word, downcast. So don't make mistake of this. Then let us look at misuse of prepositions. Misuse of prepositions. That is where wrong prepositions are used in sentences. Take, for instance, the first illustration on page 118. The initial statement, the initial sentence starts with to infinitive. To infinitive. Then it is wrong to also end the sentence with another to infinitive. So the correct version of that sentence will be, to whom are you referring to? Not after you have used the to infinitive, you also end the sentence with to infinitive. Then we have another one on. For, I solicit your support. He said it is wrong for you to say, I solicit for your support. It's wrong, so don't use that. And this, of course, could be as a result of direct vernacular translation. Direct vernacular translation would be the cause of these problems. Then we have cases of omission as another common error in English language usage. Cases of omission, whereby, for instance, you omit certain words. For instance, you can only reply to, then you don't just reply to a question, reply to a letter that has been delivered to you and all that. So the word reply cannot be completed without the to infinitive being added to that segment of the question. It has been stated out here in your book. Then we also have operate. You operate on. A patient was operated on, right? Or the doctor operated on the patient, or the surgeon operated on the question. It cannot be operated the patients. No, it is wrong. And there are other examples like that. Please take time and read through from chapter 10 to chapter 11 of your English in communication for other detailed examples, which time will not allow us to take all that in this class. Then we have about 11 areas of some common errors. We have the one that has to do with misuse of conjunction. That is, conjunctions are not used in the appropriate places the way they are supposed to be. Then you have wrong pluralization of words. We have tautology, as in repeating word over and over when they are not supposed to be. Then we have misappropriated meaning and many other examples like that. Up to page 128, page 128 down to page 1. Of course, the main exercise stop with 128. I wish you to sit down and take your English in communication and read through all that we have done. If you have questions, you can come to the department and ask your question, or when next I shall come to another class by God's grace, or any one of us that we shall see, you can ask for clarification. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.